eLiving Podcast by สินวัฒนา
สวัสดีครับท่านผู้ฟังท่านผู้ชม eLiving Podcast นะครับวันนี้เรากลับมาพบกันอีกครั้งหนึ่งในเอพิโซดที่9แล้วนะครับสวัสดีครับคุณหงศิลป์ครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์นเรศ again all right another week have flew past us and it's exciting every time we hear the contributors sharing their experience their perspective about eLiving health intelligence. It always keeps us, in fact, it keeps my heart beating even more after listening to every contributor. So without disappointing our listeners, today we have somebody even more exciting that talks about what exactly are we doing with our personal wellness, right?
เพราะว่าเราได้คุยกันไปกับครั้งที่แล้วนะครับดร.กิริดาจาก TDRI นะครับซึ่งดร.กิริดาเนี่ยก็ทำงานในส่วนที่เกี่ยวข้องกับเศรษฐศาสตร์ทางด้านของสุขภาพทางด้านสาธารณสุขเราคุยกันเรื่องของ Mission Leapfrog ด้วยนะครับแล้วก็จริงๆแล้วเนี่ยคุณหงศิลป์รู้ไหมว่าวันนี้เราก็ได้เชิญแขกรับเชิญของเราอีกท่านหนึ่งซึ่งจริงๆก็มีส่วนเกี่ยวข้องกับ Mission Leapfrog เช่นกันในฐานะของกลุ่มคนที่ให้คำแนะนำปรึกษาหรือที่ในมิชชั่นเรียกว่า Wisdom Council นะครับเราจะพาคุณผู้ฟังไปพบกับแขกรับเชิญของเราวันนี้เลยกันแล้วกันนะครับสวัสดีครับ Hello Jeremy I and Hong Sin we are very honored to be speaking with you Jeremy Lim and you are speaking from Singapore right
Yes, I am. Thank you, Naris, and thank you, Hong Sin, for the kind invitation. And I'm looking forward to a very lively discussion.
Right. How is it going in Singapore? Because I just actually met you about a week or so before, and you were visiting Thailand.
Yes, I think Singapore is now opening up very aggressively. We hope the worst of the pandemic will be behind us. Yes, it will continue to be with us for a while, but life has to go on. And the airport is looking busy. The streets are busy again. The restaurants are full. So we are optimistic.
I think being a Singaporean living in Thailand, we are kind of like life is kind of like per norm. It's just that we don't see a lot of tourists. Like over in Songkran, we see that Thai government is also opening up where visitors are flying in. We have friends from Singapore, coming in over the Songkran, but they were a little disappointed because they don't really see a lot of water throwing around. Yes. During this festival.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. I think again in every of the podcast episodes, we talked about how this whole COVID or this whole pandemic has actually changed our lives in terms of what we do, how we live, and that also goes on the conversation on how it actually accelerated the hospitals and the healthcare system in terms of innovation, and it also refreshes a strong foundation of not taking healthcare for granted. Yes. And this lays the groundwork to transform healthcare. So not just Thailand, not just Singapore, but global leaders are actually now assessing the move forward strategically to continue the momentum of innovation. Dr. Naresh, when we talk about like innovation of propelling the healthcare system, we talk about VR, we talk about virtual health, we talk about telemedicine, we talk about cloud-based technology, AI by Dr. Rom, or even the huge conversation soon that we're going to touch base also on metaverse and more. So in the conversation of what, Prof. Jeremy is passionate about, where I am so new to that conversation, Dr. Naresh, that you're going to be the main host today to really ask, Prof. Jeremy, what exactly is he doing with this whole new word to me, microbiome bank, and the work that he passionately even developed his new entity called AMILI. What exactly is all this all about?
เราต้องขออนุญาตท่านผู้ฟังนะครับเพราะว่าเราจะสัมภาษณ์คุณเจอร์มี่ท่านเป็นนายแพทย์ชาวสิงคโปร์แล้วก็ ได้ตั้งบริษัทที่ชื่อ AMILI ขึ้นมาแล้วก็เป็นบริษัทที่ทำการค้นคว้าวิจัยรวมทั้งเป็นผู้ที่ให้บริการในการตรวจวิเคราะห์เกี่ยวกับจุลินทรีย์ในลำไส้ซึ่งแต่ละคนจะไม่เหมือนกันนะครับแล้วก็สิ่งเนี้ยก็จะนำไปสู่การดูแลสุขภาพเป็นรายบุคคลหรือที่เรียกว่าเป็น Personalised Health. So Jeremy, I think why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit more about what you have been doing and what you aim to do with your present position.
Certainly. Thank you, Naris. And a good day to everyone listening in. It is a delight to be here. My name is Jeremy, and I'm a medical doctor based in Singapore. I trained in surgery first and then later public health, and over the last 20 years have been in various positions within the health system in Singapore as well as across Asia. It is very unusual for a Western trained medical doctor to be so interested in personalized wellness, to be interested in gut health. But Naris and Hong Sim, trust me, as one grows older, we see the limitations of Western medicine that is, in fairness, not healthcare, but more commonly sick care.
Right.
And it is so important for us to ask and answer how we can live our lives to our fullest health potential. And a lot of the answers lie in the little decisions we make every day around diet, lifestyle, and what we can do to optimize. So there is no pill for every ill, as the Westerners like to say, but it's really around the foods we eat, the lifestyles we lead, the activities, and all this is coming together, not just in the heightened awareness of how important health, a strong immune system is in these pandemic times, but also that we can do something about it. And many times, things start with gut health.
Right. I think it's generally a clear trend that we are seeing the healthcare, the medical trend swinging to, as you said, sick care. And now we have a realization that it's more important about the things that we do every day. Now, so with this in mind, could you tell us more about what exactly is AMILI doing and what exactly are you doing?
AMILI is a startup that a group of us academics from the National University of Singapore founded in 2019. And we founded this to do in realization that good health starts with gut health. And in the last few years, it has been so abundantly clear that what happens inside our guts, the microbes that live in us, affect everything from metabolism to immunity to even brain health. And it's very important because the microbes that are in our gut that determine gut health are largely determined by our diet, our lifestyle, and the environment that we in Asia do our own research, find the answers that are relevant to us here in Asia. And we as a group of professors looked around us, looked globally, were very excited by the science, by the great science that was being undertaken in North America and in Europe. But we found that there was very little being done in our part of the world, and we established AMILI to do the research and find solutions in gut health that will help all of us within Southeast Asia to live the best lives that we can.
ก็อันนี้เป็นบริษัทที่ก่อตั้งขึ้นโดยกลุ่มของแพทย์แล้วก็อาจารย์แพทย์นะครับที่พยายามที่จะหาโซลูชันให้กับสุขภาพโดยที่หลีกเลี่ยงการดูแลรักษาเมื่อเจ็บไข้ได้ป่วยแต่จริงๆแล้วเนี่ยเป็นการค้นพบที่ไม่ใหม่เท่าไหร่แต่ก็เป็นการที่เราเริ่มจะเข้าใจมันมากขึ้นแล้วว่าบรรดาจุลินทรีย์ที่อยู่ในลำไส้ของคนแต่ละคนตั้งแต่เกิดมาเลยเนี่ยนะครับมีผลอย่างยิ่งต่อสุขภาวะของทุกๆส่วนในร่างกายแม้กระทั่งความเจ็บไข้ได้ป่วยทั่วไปหรือแม้กระทั่งสภาพของสมองก็ตาม Right. So the company AMILI is a startup company.
Yes, this is a startup that we spun out of the university because we felt that the structure of a startup would allow us to move faster and be much more able to partner with like-minded individuals and organizations across the region. I mean, all of us have spent time within academia. We know that the university is very good in some things, but less good in other things. And given how far behind the curve in terms of research, in terms of knowledge generation in gut health that we in Southeast Asia are compared to the rest of the world, we just felt it was important to move quickly. And the startup structure would allow us that speed and that agility.
So curiosity, Atanari, I'm just jumping in to ask Prof about this whole new startup. Who actually funded the startup?
Well, you have to put, as the Americans say, your money where your mouth is. And the group of us who looked at how behind Asian science was in this space felt that we had to put our own money in to jumpstart. And we were very fortunate that after we put our own money in, we passed the hat around to like-minded friends, family who believed that it's so important that we in Asia do our own research, find our own unique Asia-centric solutions, and people were very supportive, and that's how we were able to raise the funds. Beyond that, something that was very important to us was that we had very good support from the newspapers and other media channels here in Singapore, and this allowed us to very quickly mobilize and obtain a multi-ethnic Asia database. And of this database that we can do the research and harvest the insights that allow us to develop products as well as services that are uniquely developed for us in this part of the world.
So
Amazing.
also the support from the Singapore government is an important part.
Definitely. Singapore's government in the last probably decade has been very supportive for towards startups as well as entrepreneurship more broadly. And Singapore is a very expensive place to do business. I will not sugarcoat this, but in exchange for the high cost of doing business, there is access to data sets, there's access to deep talent, technical expertise, whether to recruit or to partner. And this has allowed us to move very, very quickly because the ecosystem is much more ready than in many other places. And if I compare Singapore today, say to 15, 20 years ago, especially for us in biomedical sciences and in health tech, there is a maturity that we are all able to benefit from.
ก็เป็นการรวมตัวกันแล้วก็สปินออฟออกมาจากมหาวิทยาลัยนะครับเพราะว่าจะเกิดความคล่องตัวในการทำงานมากขึ้นแล้วก็อาจารย์เจอร์มี่ก็ไประดมทุนกันเองนี่แหละแล้วก็ได้รับการสนับสนุนจากรัฐบาลสิงคโปร์แล้วก็สภาพแวดล้อมในการทำงานทางธุรกิจของสิงคโปร์ก็อย่างที่เรารู้กันนะครับว่าค่อนข้างที่จะเอื้อต่อการทำธุรกิจใหม่ๆในลักษณะนี้พอสมควร So when you talked about research, I think that's a very important part of what you are doing. Can you let us know more about, in layman's term, what do you need to know in order to provide that health service that you intend to do for people?
And thank you for the question, Naris. We were the first in this part of the world to offer gut health testing. Right? And what this means is that we take a sample from the individual, from the customer, and we then do DNA analysis, compare it to our multi-ethnic Asia database, and then develop personalized recommendations on the foods, the lifestyles that the individuals should undertake to achieve optimal health. This is really early forays into an era of computational biology guiding personalized wellness. And permit me to explain this. A single analysis of the microbes in one's gut will yield about 2 to 3 million genes. And this is, just to give a reference point, this is much larger than the 23,000 genes that are in the human. So from a computational biology point of view, there's just so much data that we medical doctors who pride ourselves on treating patients based on the knowledge between our 2 years simply cannot manage with so much data, right? And we add to this the complexity of food. Food is made up of thousands of micro as well as macronutrients. It's just too difficult for individuals to know what to eat, how to live, and that's where the computers come in. And I think it's a very exciting development for all of us here, because for the first time ever, there is a convergence of computing power, and we all are familiar with Moore's law and how computing power has just become greater and greater. But there's also a corresponding reduction in the price of sequencing. So what used to be very expensive to do, and as was said, it cost $1 billion to sequence the first human genome. Now we can do any of our human genomes for under $1,000. So these two trends have converged and allowed microbiome or gut health science to truly flourish. And we're at the beginning of a series of very fundamental insights that will allow us to truly have those breakthroughs in human health.
So, given what you just explained to us, the technology is still, in progressing, I would say. The more data you have about the genes in the gut microbes, and the more you know about the nutrients in the food that we take, you can better personalize those food intake or anything that you intake with the combination with the gut that you have, the microbe that you have in the gut. How accurate can you say that you are at this point in prescribing what you are doing?
Well, we are getting more and more accurate with each iteration, because Naris, as you rightly pointed out, is all about data. And the more data we have, the better the algorithms become. So today we are early in this journey here in Southeast Asia, but thankfully we stand on the shoulders of giants, and we have learned so much from our peers in North America and in Europe who have been doing this for the last couple of years. So we in Asia are off to a running start. And I'm very optimistic that we are good today. Tomorrow will be even better. And the day after tomorrow, I'm sure that Asian science can contribute globally, and Asia can be a world leader in gut health science.
Prof, just a quick question. With AMILI running this whole microbiome bank that you specifically mentioned about gut, because I was just doing a quick scroll about this whole microbiome. I mean, it can be more than just gut, but when you collected all this information, is it just for gut? Because there are microbiome for mental, microbiome for heart, microbiome for different aspects of the living body, right? So skin, brain, eyes, bones, everything. So how do you see AMILI, a microbiome bank, expanding into these other space, or you only focuses on the gut?
No, and that's a great question, Hong Sim. We say that good health starts with gut health. And as you rightly pointed out, what happens within our gut determines a lot what happens in other parts of our body, including brain health, including immune function. Perhaps one little factoid would be useful. Many of us will be familiar with serotonin, which is colloquially described as the happy chemical.
Right.
Well, 95% of serotonin is produced in the gut. And hence, when we talk of the gut as the second brain, when we talk of this English saying that my gut tells me, or I have a gut feeling, that's absolutely spot on. And we as AMILI, we are doing research in all these areas, hoping to bring products and services to everyone across the region, including in Thailand soon enough. Today, we have gut health testing, where we look at the genes, we look at the microbes that are in the gut. We also have supplements that are specially formulated based on multi-ethnic Asia. We recognize that many supplements we find that are on the shelves in the pharmacy today are really based on Caucasian data, based on Western data. And we argue that what would be more appropriate, what would be even better, would be to base these formulations, the dosages, on really who we are right here in Asia. And we're only at the beginning. With more data, with more research, the products, the services will just get better and better. But definitely, we are looking at immunity, we are looking at metabolism like weight loss, and we're looking at brain health very, very closely.
อาจารย์นเรศแปลนะคะ
Yeah.
Because this one is so important to share, and also Prof Jeremy talks about his, Emily is going to come into Thailand. So, are you going to be a part of Emily to help him, or how is he going to run his Thailand outfit?
I'm helping a lot of people already, and including Jeremy, of course.
Yes.
My father always said that, exactly the same thing, because he says gut is the starting point of your health, and he said this since when I was a kid, and it can't be more true. So สิ่งที่อาจารย์เจอร์มี่บอกเราก็คือว่าสุขภาพที่ดีเริ่มต้นจากสุขภาพของลำไส้ที่ดีเพราะว่าตัวอย่างเช่นเซโรโทนินซึ่งเป็นสารหลั่งความสุขเนี่ยนะครับที่มีออกมาในรูปของอาหารเสริมหรือว่าหมอให้มาเนี่ยก็จะสร้างขึ้นมาในลำไส้เพราะฉะนั้นผลกระทบจากการที่ลำไส้ของเรามีสุขภาพดีหรือไม่ดีมีผลไปยังทุกส่วนของร่างกายรวมทั้งสมองและความรู้สึกทั้งหลายทั้งปวงที่ประกอบขึ้นมาเป็นร่างกายของมนุษย์แล้วเราไม่ได้อยู่คนเดียวมนุษย์เราอยู่กับชีวิตอีกจำนวนเป็นล้านๆเลยที่อยู่ในลำไส้ก็คือจุลินทรีย์นะครับ Well Jeremy that's amazing and the fact that you are actually expanding it's a great news that you are beginning to help more and more people to get better health and I'm pretty sure that with your determination and your passion it will all come true. So I'm afraid that we ran out of time. So I and Hong Sin would like to say thank you so much for participating in our podcast, and we'd love to have you back sometime in the future when you are already covering Southeast Asia, and come back and tell us more about what you're doing. Okay?
Definitely, Naris and Hong Sim, thank you very much. Next time we do this podcast, we'll all be sitting in the same room.
Sure.
We look forward. Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you,
very
Jeremy.
much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
คุณหงสินครับก็นี่เป็นเรื่องที่อาจจะใหม่สำหรับหลายๆคนแต่ว่าอยากให้ผู้ฟังของเราเนี่ยได้รับทราบแล้วเรื่องนี้ก็จะลิงก์กลับไปยังเอพิโซดก่อนหน้านี้ที่เราได้คุยกับดร.บารมีนะฮะที่มีการตรวจสุขภาพของจุลินตรวจคือในลำไส้เนี่ยจะมีจุลินทรีย์อาศัยอยู่เป็นจำนวนมากเลยเป็นล้านตัวแล้วเราก็คุ้นเคยกันมาตั้งแต่เด็กคุณหงศิลป์ก็จะรู้จักพวกผลิตภัณฑ์บำรุงสุขภาพไม่ว่าจะเป็นนมเปรี้ยวหรือว่าพวกโปรไบโอติกพวกนี้ก็คือไปสร้างสุขภาพของประชาคมของจุลินทรีย์ที่ดีในลำไส้แต่ว่าตอนนี้เราไปไกลกว่านั้นอีกก็คือเราไปตรวจลงไปถึงลึกลงไปถึงระดับของยีนที่อยู่ในลำไส้ของไม่ใช่ยีนของมนุษย์อย่างเดียวแต่เป็นยีนของจุลินทรีย์ด้วยแล้วมันข้อมูลมันเยอะมากเพราะว่าไอตัวยีนของจุลินทรีย์รวมกันนี่เยอะกว่ายีนของมนุษย์หลายเท่าเลยนะครับเพราะฉะนั้นเลยต้องใช้คอมพิวเตอร์เข้ามาช่วยในการประมวลผลแล้วก็สามารถที่จะบ่งบอกได้ลงไปถึงระดับของปัจเจกบุคคลว่าเราจะดูแลสุขภาพอย่างไรควรจะใช้ชีวิตอย่างไรควรจะบริโภคอาหารอย่างไรและนี่ก็คือสิ่งที่เราได้เรียนรู้จากการสนทนากับดร.เจเรมี่ลินในวันนี้นะครับคุณหงศิลป์ใช่ไหมครับ
Right. It's like recap on all the episodes on what we have conducted. Ajahn Barami also covered pretty extensively in this area, and I think the conversation on as an individual, we start to look at, or rather, I start to look at my health from a brand new perspective of not waiting for sickness to appear.on me, then I do something. Rather, to take a very proactive approach and taking an interest in my personal health, my personal wellness more seriously than to have to suffer later on in my life. So, living is something where we human beings make a choice on how we choose to do things, how we want to live life. So,you are definitely spot on, and of course, Prof, Jeremy has covered pretty well in terms of, how we have actually taken our gut for granted, and now it brings us back into basic again to pay attention to our gut. So, itinerary, it's like you and me been doing the podcast, and this is our 9th episode. Every episode really got me to re-look into how I'm living life and what else I can do for others, whether it is my loved ones or even my team members, to help them stay healthier.
With every episode, I feel like I get smarter. ถ้าคุณผู้ฟังอยากจะเรียนรู้เรื่องเกี่ยวกับสิ่งที่เราคุยกันในวันนี้แล้วก็ก่อนหน้านี้ด้วยนะครับเรื่องของไมโครไบโอมก็มีหนังสือหลายเล่มที่แนะนำให้ไปอ่านได้เป็นหนังสือดีๆทั้งนั้นนะครับเช่นเล่มหนึ่งชื่อว่า I Contain Multitudes นะครับ The Microbes Within Us and a Grander View of Life คือการที่เราได้เรียนรู้ว่าจริงๆชีวิตของเรามันไม่ใช่ตัวเราคนเดียวอ่ะแต่มันเป็นกลุ่มก้อนของชีวิตจำนวนมากที่อยู่ด้วยกันเป็นระบบนิเวศในตัวของเราเนี่ยมันเปลี่ยนโลกทัศน์เปลี่ยนการมองโลกของเราเลยนะครับมันไม่ใช่เป็นเรื่องของวิทยาศาสตร์ที่จะเต็มไปด้วยข้อมูลหรือสมการแต่ว่ามันเป็นเรื่องของการมองโลกมองชีวิตในอีกแบบหนึ่งแล้วก็การที่เราได้มองแบบเนี้ยทำให้เราเปลี่ยนวิธีคิดในการดูแลสุขภาพด้วยครับเนาะคุณหงศิลป์ถ้าอย่างนั้นเอพิโซดนี้เราก็ขอลาคุณผู้ฟังไปเพียงเท่านี้ก่อนนะครับแล้วก็พบกันใหม่ในท็อปิกที่น่าตื่นเต้นในครั้งต่อๆไปนะครับตอนวันนี้ผมกับคุณหงศิลป์ขอลาไปเพียงเท่านี้ครับขอบคุณมากนะครับสวัสดีครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะ
eLiving Podcast by สินวัฒนา